Hi, Year 3, and welcome to your first comprehension session this week. So today is Monday, the 1st of March, 2021, and we will be looking at a fiction text again. And our fiction text today is The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Okay, now, whilst you're listening to the story, I want you to think about the answers to these questions. So your three questions are here. So your listening questions are here. Question number 1 is, what do the children have to cross to get into the wood? Question number 2 is, why did Joe suggest that they shouldn't go too far into the wood? And question number 3 is, do you think this would be a fun place for a picnic, and explain why? Now, obviously, I am going to be answering these questions with you, and you need to remember your comprehension skills. So for example, if the question is asking you to find one and copy, you find one answer and you copy. If the question is telling you to put something in order, you put it in order. If it's asking you for your answer and then explaining why, you need to make sure you explain why using the word because. So all these skills that we've been learning throughout our comprehension sessions, you need to always remember them to answer your questions. So today, again, I am going to share the story with you by not me reading it, by the narrator reading it, because I thought it was quite fun last time when the narrator read it. Okay, so make sure you've got your listening ears on.
The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Joe, Beth and Franny are exploring the woods near their new house.
I feel as if there are adventures about,
said Joe.
Come on, over the ditch we go and into the enchanted wood.
One by one, the children jumped over the narrow ditch. They stood beneath the trees and peered about. Small freckles of sunshine lay here and there on the ground, but not very many, for the trees were so thick. It was dim and green there, and a small bird nearby sang an odd little song over and over again.
It really is magic,
said Franny suddenly.
I can feel magic about somewhere. Can't you, Beth? Can't you, Joe?
Yes, said the others, and their eyes shone with excitement.
Come on!
They went down a little green path that looked as if it had been made for rabbits. It was so small and narrow.
Don't let's go too far,
said Joe.
We had better wait till we know the paths a bit better before we go deep into the wood. Look about for a place to sit down and eat our sandwiches, girls.
I can see some wild strawberries,
cried Beth, and she knelt down and pressed back some pretty leaves, showing the others deep red strawberries below.
Let's pick some and have them with our picnic too,
said Franny. So they picked hard and soon had enough to make a fine meal.
Let's sit down under the old oak tree over there,
said Joe.
It's all soft moss beneath. It will be like sitting on a green velvet cushion.
So they sat down and unpacked their sandwiches. Soon they were munching away happily, listening to the dark green leaves overhead, saying, "Wisha, wisha," all the time.
All right, fantastic. So now I'm just going to go through the listening questions answers with you. So question number 1 said, what do the children have to cross to get into the wood? So if you look at paragraph number 1 here, it says, I feel as if there are adventures about, said Joe. Come on, over the ditch we go and into the enchanted wood. So over here, Joe has said, come on, over the ditch we go and into the enchanted wood. So you know that to get into the wood, they need to cross the ditch. Okay, then question number 2 says, why did Joe suggest that they shouldn't go too far into the wood? So if you go down paragraph 1, 2, 3, And if you go down to this paragraph, Joe has said, "Don't let's go too far," said Joe. "We had better wait till we know the paths a bit better before we go deep into the woods." So the reason Joe has suggested that they don't go deep into the woods is because they didn't know the paths. So he thought it'd be better for them to know the paths before they go deep into the woods. So if they do get lost, it's easier for them to come back. Because they do not know the paths, it's very easy for them to get lost. Now, question number 3 says, "Do you think this would be a fun place for a picnic? Explain why." There's no right or wrong answer to this. It's up to you. You may think it would be a fun place, you may not. I would think it's a nice place. I like having picnics outdoor. And over here, it says it's all soft moss beneath. It will be like sitting on a green velvet cushion. So that actually sounds like a very comfortable place for you to sit down and have a picnic. Okay, fantastic. Now, we are going to do our questions zap. So if we look at question number 1, it says, "I feel as if there are adventures about," said Joe. Come on, what does this quotation tell you about Joe? Choose one. He is scared of the woods. He thinks he is a hero. He likes adventures. He thinks it is dangerous. Pause the screen now and work out your answers. And then come back to my screen when you are ready. All right, fantastic. I think that he likes adventures, and the reason I'm saying that is because he said, "I feel there are adventures about," that shows that he likes adventures. If he didn't like adventures, he wouldn't suggest it. So I'm going to copy it to my Crackit, and then let's see if the answer is correct. So I'm going to say he likes adventures. Let's check it. Fantastic. So that was correct. So if you've got that answer, then you get 1 mark. Fabulous. Now, question number 2. So question number 2 says, look at the paragraph beginning 1 by 1. So 1 by 1 is this paragraph here. And 1 by 1 says, find. So you need to make sure that you do what the question is telling you to do. It's saying find. Oh, why isn't it letting me click? Now let me choose a color. It's saying find and copy one word or group of words that tell you that the woods were not brightly lit. So now let's go through this paragraph. 1 by 1, the children jumped over the narrow ditch. They stood beneath the trees and peered about. Small freckles of sunshine lay here and there on the ground, but not very many. For the trees were so thick. It was dim and green there, and a small bird nearby sang an odd little song over and over again. So the fact that it says it was dim shows me that it was not brightly lit, because dim is when there's not too much light. Now let's check if that is correct. So let's crack it. I'm going to say it was dim. Now let me check if that is correct. Fantastic. So it says dim here. If you have got peered about, dim, small freckles of sunshine, then you are correct, because peered about is when you're looking very closely and you're peering about. Okay, dim, obviously, like I said, is when you've got very little light, and small freckles of sunshine shows you that because there were thick trees, there were small bits of sunshine coming through. Okay, fantastic. If you've got that, any of those 3, you can give yourself a mark. Now, question number 3 says, what made the path look as if it was made for rabbits? So now let's go down to the paragraph where they were talking about rabbits, which is here. Okay. It says they went down a little green path that looked as if it had been made for rabbits. It was so small and narrow. Can you pause the screen and write down your answer and then come back to my screen when you are ready? All right, fantastic. So I think the answer is because it had a small and narrow. It was small and narrow. Yeah, the path was very small and narrow. Now let's check if I'm correct. Oh, let me copy it. Small. It was a small and narrow path. Should we check if I'm correct? Fantastic. So yes, I'm correct. And if you have that answer as well, yeah, then you are correct, 1 mark. It has not given me any option to say that there is another correct answer. So if you do not have this, then you're incorrect. If you have this, then you are correct, and well done. Now, let's go back to all the questions, and now we're on question number 4. So question number 4 says, the writer describes the moss as being like a green velvet cushion. How does this make the reader feel about the moss? Can you put your thinking caps on and think about it and then write your answer down? So when I read it, when the story was read to you, how did it make you feel? What did it make you feel about the moss? Okay, now I am going to write down my answer, and I would say that it how does this make the reader feel about the moss? It make it like I'm saying it's going to be comfortable grass. Yeah, so the floor is comfortable. I feel like by reading this that the floor is cozy and comfortable. Okay, now let's check it. Fantastic. Oh, good. I was correct. Yes. So it says, accept an answer that recognizes that the moss looks comfortable and cozy, or rich, colorful, soft, springy. So if you've got any of these words to describe how it makes the reader feel, then you are correct and you get a mark. Now let's go to question number 5. So question number 5 says, the children were enjoying being in the woods. Find and copy one piece of evidence for this statement. So can you find in this text a piece of evidence where it shows that the children were enjoying being in the woods? Okay, and then come back to my screen when you are ready. Okay, so I am going to pick some evidences to help me answer the question. So in the first paragraph, I can't really see anything. Oh, look at it really is magic. So I think that word, that sentence describes that, they were enjoying being in the wood, because if they didn't enjoy being in the wood, they wouldn't think it was like magic. Okay. Here, their eyes shone with excitement. So shone is basically their eyes were like really shocked and surprised, and they were like open. So the fact that their eyes shone with excitement shows me that they were really excited to be in the woods, and if they're excited, that means they enjoy it. Then it says, let's let's go too far. Nothing in that paragraph. I can see some wild strawberries. So they probably got excited seeing those strawberries. Then nothing here. Let's sit down under and the fact that they were sitting down and unpack their sandwiches shows me that if they weren't excited to be enjoyed it in the woods, they wouldn't be having their picnic there. So I am going to write down it says find and copy one piece of evidence for this, so which means you need to write it down word for word because you're copying it. Now I found them, now I'm going to copy one. Okay, so I am going to say it really is magic. Okay, now let's see if I'm correct. Yes, I'm correct. So if you have, I can feel magic about somewhere, their eyes shone with excitement, I can see some wild strawberries, soon they were munching away happily, then you are correct and you get a mark. Okay, now let's go to question number 6. And question number 6 says, number the events to show the order in which the children did them in this extract, so in this piece of writing. Okay, so now you need to make sure that you put these in the correct order. So pause the screen now and put these events in the correct order. All right, fantastic. Now I am going to put them in the correct order. So first they jumped over a ditch. Then they went down a little green path. They went down a little green path. Then they picked strawberries. And then they had their picnic. Let's see if I'm correct. Yep, so they went over a ditch, then a green path, they picked strawberries, they had their picnic. So if you've got it in that order, then you are correct and you get 1 mark. Okay, now those questions have finished. Now it's your turn. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share with you your independent story. So the story that you should be trying yourself independently today is called The Min Pins by Roald Dahl. Now this is the story and it should have been sent with your task sheet. And then these are the questions, okay? They should have been sent with the task sheets too. So what you can do is have a look at the questions that from your task sheets and answer them. So let me read the story to you. The Min Pins by Roald Dahl. Little Billy hesitated. I'm not nervous, he said. I'm not in the least bit nervous, not me. Very, very slowly he walked forward into the great forest. Giant trees were soon surrounding him on all sides, and their branches made an almost solid roof above his head, blotting out the sky. Here and there little shafts of sunlight shone through gaps in the roof. There was not a sound anywhere. It was like being among the dead men in an enormous empty green cathedral. When he had ventured some distance into the forest, little Billy stopped and stood quite still, listening. He could hear nothing, nothing at all. There was absolute silence. Or was there? Hold on just a second. What was that? Little Billy flicked his head round and stared into the everlasting gloom and doom of the forest. There it was again. There was no mistaking it was time. From far away there came a faint whoozing, whiffling noise, like a small gusty wind blowing through the trees. Then it grew louder. Every second it was growing louder, and suddenly it was no longer a small wind. It was a fearsome, swooshing, whooshing, whiffling, snorting noise that sounded as though some gigantic creature was breathing heavily through its nose as it galloped towards him. Little Billy turned and ran. Okay, year 3. Make sure you upload your comprehension tasks onto Tapestry for your class teacher to see. Okay, and I'll see you soon. Bye.